Welcome to the X Corner. I'm here adding mutation to that superhero crew still. I'll be covering the X comics for the week of September 19th, 2018. This week we have 4 comics. Mr. and Mrs. X number 3, Multiple Man number 4, Return of Wolverine number 1, and X-Men Gold number 36. Spoilers, yeah, of course. We'll start with Mr. and Mrs. X number 3, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Oscar Bazaldua. Rogue and Gambit and Deadpool find themselves with a teenage version of Rogue, but she is in fact the genetically created daughter of Lilandra and Professor X. She uses her psychic powers to look into the X-Men's minds to see her parents, and then transforms herself into a combination of them. She calls herself Zandra. The team is then attacked by Deathbird, and Gambit, with Deadpool, teleports onto her ship to stop her from chasing them. Deathbird wants the egg she doesn't know Zandra hatched, so that they can use the child as a figurehead for her rebellion. Gambit destroys the ship's controls, and they teleport back to their own ship. Rogue then pushes Deadpool into another teleporter and sends him away since they can't really trust him. Suddenly, Nightshade from the Imperial Guard teleports in and steals Zandra, who is transformed back into an egg. Cerise then shows up, teleports in, claiming to have escaped the Imperial Guard, but in fact she has been freed by Gladiator, who leads the Shi'ar now. Cerise devises a plan for Rogue and Gambit to go undercover to the Shi'ar homeworld to recover Zandra. Then we skip ahead to find the two strung up and captured. This issue, other than winning the award for the most teleports in a single comic, was really fun. The 2 pages of Gambit and Deadpool fighting through Deathbird's crew was both visually amazing and also funny as hell. Gambit told Deadpool not to kill anyone, but he keeps skewering people. He claims that they have fancy space healing, so they'll be fine. Also, it was funny that while Gambit confronted Deathbird, Deadpool was in the background with a big hole in his torso, asking for a space band-aid. This story flew by, and this is not deconstructed in any way. This would have been 4 issues alone by some other writer's hands. I love the idea of Professor X and Lilandra having a kid. I hope this goes somewhere because I want to see X's reaction to him having a child. As Space X-Men adventures go, all we need is the Brood appearance and some Starjammers, and this would have had everything. The art was great as always, and I'm really enjoying Kelly Thompson's storytelling. A fun romp that gets 8 out of 10. Then there is Multiple Man number 4, written by Matthew Rosenberg and art by Andy McDonald. This is an insane one to recap, but here goes. The evil Jamie Dictator beheaded Jamie. He felt bad about it though, so he takes Jamie's time travel device and goes back to stop Beast from making the serum that saves Jamie. He leaves behind his second-in-command Jamie, who we'll come back to in a bit. So we see from a different angle the scene from the first issue where random Jamie tries to stop Jamie from getting the serum from Beast. That was the evil dictator Jamie trying to fix the future. We are then presented with what happened to all the Jamies that Jamie sent into the future. One meets up with Dr. Stark, Sorcerer Supreme, who he starts to learn magic from. One ends up in the Old Man Logan future and drinks some irradiated water. Another ends up in 2099 future. Yet another ends up in the 90s Marvel swimsuit issue, which is a bit from left field. And lastly you get the one that goes to Cable's future, who meets up with Cyclops and Jean, who are disguised as Cable's parents at the time. We find out these are all the team of Jamies from the first issue, as the much older Jamie is now Sorcerer Supreme, as he goes to recruit the others. He finds the one that drank the Gamma water, now is a Hulk, another infected by the techno-organic virus, another turned into a Deadpool ripoff by some weirdos in 2099, and I guess the swimsuit issue one just ended up getting drunk and staying on the beach. So we then go back in time to the first issue again, as the team jumps in to grab Jamie to bring him to the future to stop the evil dictator. Little do they know that the version is in this Jamie, so it's just a big loop. After they leave and the X-Men are confused and glad he's gone, another portal opens and Kitty is shot by a beam. It's the second-in-command evil dictator come to invade the past, maybe? The planning of these time travel threads for this comic must have been breaking Matthew Rosenberg's brain, as he tried to keep it all straight. Even my recap might have gotten things mixed up. It is insane, and I literally can't see a way that this ends. The loop of all the other Jamies is now closed, so that's that. But now we get the level 2 Dictator Jamie versus the X-Men to finish off the series? I think a map of all these timelines, and how they circle back on each other, could really cause some kind of real-time paradox. So I'm just not going to think about it anymore, just to be safe. I do love how it all tied up, but we still get one more issue, so we'll see how Rosenberg can break our brains next issue. 8 out of 10 again. Then there's Return of Wolverine number 1, written by Charles Soule, art by Steve McNiven. Wolverine is back, again. Some more. Wolverine comes to his senses in a lab. There are bodies everywhere, and a saber-toothed tiger in a cage. One of the doctors in the lab is alive. He recognizes Wolverine and asks him to help. He says he has to stop Persephone. Someone throws a grenade in and kills a doctor and releases a flaming saber-toothed tiger. Wolverine has a flash memory of Kitty. And we'll have more of these flashes as we soon realize he has no memory of who he is. Wolverine makes it out of the lab and stumbles upon a compound. It seems Sotera is razing it to the ground. He sees a sniper kill a man, so he charges in to kill the sniper. He shoots the guy, but it turns out to be Omega Red, who then shoots Wolverine. He is helped to safety by a woman from the compound. She staples his one wound that won't heal in his side, Jesus allegory much, and tries to explain who he is. She tells the story of him fighting a crazy guy in powered armor. She says he wore yellow and blue so that the bad guys would shoot at him instead of the innocents around. She tells him he's a hero, and we get a glimpse inside his psyche as he unlocks the yellow and blue Wolverine in his mind. He then dons a new black costume and pledges to go to get the woman's son back from Persephone. This issue was confusing at first, but then became clearer as we went, just as it did to Wolverine. We did get a glimpse of those hot claws in the first page, but he popped his claws a few times more, and they didn't do that, so who knows. Steve McNiven's art is on point, and he even got a Steve Dillon from Preacher vibe at times. This was good first issue as you want to find out more about what is happening to Wolverine, just as much as he does. I love the use of the blue-tinged panels that represent his mind and memories. So far, so good. 7.5 out of 10. Then there's X-Men Gold 36. Written by Mark Guggenheim, art by Perry Perez. This is the finale of the X-Men Gold series, which really epitomizes the series as a whole. We get 2 pages in the beginning dedicated to the relationships that started and ended in this book. Kitty leaves Peter a heart-wrenching message on his phone saying she's hurting too, and then we get Rachel and Kurt sharing a moment that is the first time they've talked since breaking up. And Rachel reconciles a bit, making sure they stay friends. Then we're thrust into the superhero wing. An Omega-level mutant has manifested and is destroying his neighborhood. He is shooting lightning uncontrollably, but Kitty talks him down. Halfway through her "you'll get through this" speech, some guy shoots the kid in the head. Kitty has Kurt teleport him to a hospital, where the doctor refuses to treat him from fear that his mutant ability will flare up again. Another doctor says she'll do it though, and we learn that she was in a mutant-hating mob in the early issues of the series, where Kitty promised to be better, and the woman has followed the X-Men and seen that they were being better, and that they weren't just mutants or even superheroes, that they're just people. We end this issue with the X-Men waiting to see if the young mutant boy will pull through with a dedication to Chris Claremont to finish off the series. Mark Guggenheim says in the back matter that this series really was just a big love letter to Claremont. And now I know why I enjoyed it so much. He even apologized for not being original enough, but I think that is where most modern writers go off the rails. The place for being creative is in the minis and spin-offs, such as Multiple Man. The core books should be the soap operas, not just in content, but also for feeling comfortable by the familiar, and even progressing narrative without the avant-garde change for change's sake. I understand that's not what new readers might want, but that's why we have places like the minis and other companies like Image. Marvel and DC should stick to what they're good at least in their core books, and I think this series is the archetype for that. It was a strange ending with a cliffhanger that'll never be resolved, but that wasn't the point of the story. I'll miss this series, and I can only hope the Uncanny X-Men one will retain some of this feel. 8.5 out of 10. I've been lamenting the end of this era of X-Men lately, and I've been hoping the editorial team on the X-Books have been seeing how this type of line has been working. Not every X-Book has been to my liking, but they all had their place. If we can continue with the X-Men proper books being tried and true, with the miniseries and spin-offs being experimental books, that can be ended or continued as Marvel sees fit, I think this line will endure and flourish again. We need the X-Men to be strong with the coming of the Marvel X-Men movies that have been projected. We can only hope that this has been all orchestrated, not just some lucky run of books that played off each other nicely, with good creators. And hopefully it won't all just be tossed aside with a new order. I can see it going both ways. Hope for the best, but fear for the worst. Only time will tell. See you next week.